Hello, my band of crew, and welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be me discussing a new theory of mine that Crash and Coco are actually of royalty. They come from a royal family. If this is your first time coming to the channel, I release Crash Bandicoot content every weekend. We discuss lore, theories, news, reviews, we do tier lists, we do interviews. Pretty much anything and everything Crash Bandicoot related I will cover here. So if that sounds like something you might be interested in, maybe consider subscribing. With that all said, let's jump back into the topic at hand and discuss why I believe Crash and Coco come from royalty. So this may be controversial to some people because some people believe that Cortex came from a family of clowns, and they always take that from the Crash Bandicoot Bible that has been debunked for quite a long time. Like, many things in the games go against what the Bible says. They call Tawna Carmen and say that Cortex is in love with her, which never pans out in the games. So I don't know why people feel the need to hold on to the fact that Cortex murdered his family and came from a family of clowns. That never sat with me. I've always gone by what I see in game. And in game, Cortex lives in a castle. He has a niece. We've heard his mother in Twinsanty, and we actually see portraits of them. So from the games, we know that Cortex lives in a castle. As far back as Crash Bandicoot 1, you go through Cortex's Castle. Then again in CTR, you go through Cortex's Castle and the Citadel. And then again in Crash Bandicoot 4, when you go back in time to 1996, you also get to explore Cortex's Castle. So being the owner of a castle doesn't necessarily mean you come from royalty. But we know from dialogue in the game that Cortex's family has lived in this for generations. He talks about his grandfather in the castle. We also have portraits of Cortex's family members. Honestly, for this one, I tried to look up images of royalty where that could potentially be the same style as this, but I could not. Originally, I thought she was in like a maid outfit, but she's not wearing an apron. That's all part of the same dress, and I thought that was a rag, but it looks like a fancy fan. So I think this is a picture of Cortex's mother, and she's in fancy clothing. Actually, I shouldn't say think it's Cortex's mother. We know it's Cortex's mother because the art was uploaded to the artist's page, and it says Cortex's Mother and Cortex's Father. And here's Cortex's father in a suit of armor with a globe next to him because, just like Cortex, he wants to conquer the world. That's what I go by. Sure, he could just have the globe there because he's an explorer, but I like to think that he wants to conquer the world just like Cortex. So with the suit of armor, the fancy clothes for the mother, them living in the castle for generations, I think it's safe to assume that Cortex himself comes from royalty. That's all fine, but what does that have to do with Crash and Coco being royalty? Well, let me play you this voice clip from Crash Bandicoot 4. It's about time, from one of the flashback tapes. It's from one of the final, if not the final.
I got you a little graduation present, subject. A name! Crashworth Cortex the First. Crash for short.
So, Dr. Neo Cortex gives Crash his last name. So, his name is Crashworth Cortex the First. So, I don't know if that goes for all of Cortex's experiments, that he gives them his last name, but Crash is confirmed 100% to be a Cortex. So while he's not biologically a Cortex, he is adopted into the Cortex family. So Crash and Cortex are father and son. And then that got me thinking. Can someone who comes from a royal family adopt a child and then that child become a royalty? So I asked the internet. I asked, if a king adopts a son, can that son become a prince? And the response is, yes, if a king adopts a son, it is possible for that son to become a prince. The title of prince is typically given to to the male children of the monarch or to the male member of royal family who are in the line of succession to the throne. However, a monarch has the power to confer titles and honors upon whoever they choose, including an adopted child. In some cases, the adopted child may not be eligible to inherit the throne directly, but they could still be given a prince title as a mark of honor and distinction. The specific rule for conferring royal titles and honors can vary depending on the country and the customs of the royal family in question. Ultimately, it's up to the monarch to decide whether or not to bestow princely title upon their adopted child. So now it's kind of up to, did Cortex want Crash to become his successor? He doesn't like him, he wants to kill him. But I've got one more thing. This is actually this upcoming GIF I'm going to show you. It's what spurred this whole theory to begin with. So watch this. I'm sure you guys remember this death animation. This cursed prince kisses Crash, breaks the curse, and becomes a prince again. Not only Crash, but Coco as well. So the cursed prince has to kiss royalty in order to be transformed back into a prince. And it works on not only Crash, who is Crashworth Cortex, but also Coco Bandicoot. So because the frog can transform back into a prince, that tells me that Crash is royalty. He inherited it from Cortex, thus Crashworth Cortex the First. And since Coco also was able to transform the frog back into a prince, that would mean that she also has been given the name Cortex by Cortex, and she is officially a Cortex princess. So that's the theory, my friends. I hope you enjoyed it. Crash and Coco come from the royal Cortex family. They are not biologically connected to him, but they were adopted into his family. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll catch you in the next one, Banda Crew. Take care. Have a good night.